In this video, I'm going to replace my current smartphone with this tiny phone for the next 30 days. I want to find out if this phone can solve most, if not all of the problems I have with the modern smartphone. After the 30 days are up, I'm going to decide if I'm going to sell this phone or I'm going to keep it as my daily driver. All right, let's get into it. How's it? My name is Hugh, and you're probably wondering what's wrong with the modern smartphone. Isn't it super convenient and a necessary part of everyday life? Convenient, yes. Necessary, I would say no. However, I do like having a phone because it makes some things much easier. That said, there are three major problems that I have with the modern smartphone. I'll go over it really quick here so you know why I'm looking for an alternative. As a side note, a few months back I actually thought about getting a dumb phone, but that didn't last too long because I really like having navigation and Spotify on my phone. Anyway, the first major issue I have with the modern smartphone is privacy. The average phone constantly sends information about you to the Apple or Google servers, information like your location, your conversation history, and much more. The next problem I have is smartphones can become obsolete in as little as 2 years because the battery doesn't last as long anymore and the phone becomes slow. Of course, this depends on how a person uses the phone, but over time, apps and operating systems tend to get more complex and need more processing and battery power. And the third big issue I have with smartphones is that they're just too damn big. I mean, this is a pretty average smartphone nowadays, but it doesn't fit comfortably into my front pocket. I have these Carhartt shorts that are great because they have a dedicated phone pocket, but it's a pain to carry this phone when I'm wearing anything else. I really don't need a phone that's this big. Half this size would be perfect. And I'll throw in one more minor gripe. I would love to have a headphone jack again so I can plug in my wired headphones directly instead of having to use this dongle or worry about charging my wireless earbuds. Now I'm curious about you. What do you prefer to use? Do you like wired headphones? Do you like wireless earbuds? Let me know in the comments below. I really want to know. Alright, so those are the three major problems and one minor problem that I'm hoping to solve with this tiny little phone. But what I haven't told you is that my current phone has already solved the first two problems. Well, mostly. This is the phone that I've been using for the past 3 years or so. This is a OnePlus 9 Pro running the EOS, the Google operating system. Since this phone is not logged into Google and it's not using Google services directly, it's much harder for apps and the phone to identify me. Of course, it's not impossible, even a dumb phone can track you, but it's much less likely that I will be identified on this phone compared to the average phone. I can still use almost all of the apps I use, but in a much more controlled environment. Not using Google also has the benefit of helping my battery last longer, as well as keeping my phone running fast for longer compared to the average phone. This is because the phone is not constantly sending information to Google, so that uses less processing power and thus less battery. When I had the default Oxygen OS Android operating system on this phone from OnePlus, the phone would not last a day. But now that I changed it to a de-Googled operating system, I get a solid 2 days out of it and sometimes more. Now, even with all this awesomeness, this phone still fails miserably in the last category, which is size. So while it looks like this phone will be a superstar in the size category, I have some serious concerns about how it will do in the other categories. Over the next 30 days, here are the questions that I want to answer about this phone. First, will I be able to de-Google this phone as well as get about 2 days of battery life out of it? I want it to be on par with my current phone. Second, is this phone actually too small? I want to find out if I'm able to text on it, if I can watch videos, and if I can look at websites. And third, will the camera be good enough for both pictures and videos? Let's find out. If you haven't seen this phone before, this is a Unihertz Jelly Star. It's one of the smallest Android phones you can buy. I first heard about it through my brother-in-law because he has one. It's also only about $230 brand new, so it's also one of the cheapest smartphones you can get. That's great and all, but I want to find out if this is actually usable. So my task for the first week is to install a de-Googled operating system. Unfortunately, since this is not a super popular phone, the big de-Googled projects do not directly support this phone. So I will probably have to find a secondary de-Googled solution. Worst case scenario, I figure I can just use the default version of Android that came with the phone, but not sign into Google. It's still possible to get most apps even though I'm not signed into Google. I'll show you how to do that a little later in this video. Now, obviously, using the Unihertz default version of Android is not ideal, but I am willing to make that compromise if I like this phone enough. Alright, so after doing a lot of research on the forums, I found out that I can probably use a version of Lineage OS, which is one of the big de-Googled projects. So I'm going to install it now and see how it goes. Okay, so it took a few more steps than it usually does with a de-Googled phone, but I think I finally got it running, so I'm going to test it out and see how it works. If you want to do this for yourself, then the process of putting Lineage OS on this phone is provided in the link in the description below. It's a totally free guide and it goes through everything. It's just very technical, so I don't want to bore you in this video. Now I'm going to set this phone up similar to my OnePlus. I'm going to install F-Droid and Aurora Store to get apps, and I'm also going to install Magic Earth to get navigation. One thing that I'm really excited to start using on this phone is the expansion card slot. I can't remember the last time that I had an SD card slot on a phone. This is awesome. I'm going to drop in a 512GB card, giving this phone a total of 768GB of storage space. Try getting that on an iPhone. This is fantastic because now I can store my entire music library on the card and use my wired headphones with the headphone jack. Since the iPod that I built in a previous video also has a 512GB card in it, I can mirror the two devices and have my entire music library on two devices instead of just one, and that will be a great backup in case something happens to one of them. Now I'm going to do some testing and I'll let you know how it goes. Alright, some bad news this week. I've been using the phone and there are some serious issues with it. So I'm going to either have to go back to the original operating system, which is just regular Android, or I'm going to have to sell the phone. Here's what's wrong with it. The phone does receive calls and text messages, but only some of them. It's really weird. I've been testing it out. I only get some calls and only some text messages, but I don't get other ones. I also have trouble getting mobile data when I'm out and about, much more than I did with my previous phone. So obviously this is a big issue. And these two problems put together totally defeat the purpose of having a smartphone. I'll do more research on a fix, but it's not looking good. I was actually really looking forward to using this phone as a de-Googled phone. But there is some good news. I have been using this phone for GPS navigation, browsing the web, watching YouTube videos, and text messaging. And I'm happy to report that it is usable, but only barely, and that's a good thing. Here's why. With a little practice, I'm actually pretty good at typing on this phone now. I also installed the Futo keyboard, which allows me to swipe text, so that makes things a lot easier, and Futo doesn't send my information to an external server. It all happens on the phone. However, and here's the important part, it's not easy. I really have to focus when I type on this phone. But that means that I'm only going to do what's absolutely necessary on the phone, and that's it. If I have to do something more complex, I'll just wait till I get home and use my laptop. This keeps me from doom scrolling on my phone, and although I'm not into social media anymore, if I was, there's no way I could use social media on this phone. It's just way too tedious. So that's the good and bad for this week. It's not looking good so far, but I'm going to do some research and I'll let you know what I discover. See you next week. Alright, I think I've had a major breakthrough with this. I was researching on the forums and they recommended turning on a couple of the settings inside of the operating system, and it does appear to be working now. So I am getting all of my text messages, all of my phone calls, at least it seems like it. And the internet is working correctly, just like on my old phone. I still have to test things out for a few more days, but it's looking good so far, and I'll keep you updated. I've also been testing out the headphone jack, and I really like it. It's great to be able to plug in my headphones. I've been using these IEMs, and they sound fantastic. This phone actually does sound a little bit better than the iPod, not by much, but the difference is noticeable. I also discovered this free app called Oxio. It's a music player for Android. Link in the description below. It's totally free and it's fantastic. It works better than anything else I've ever used. So I highly recommend checking that out if you have an Android phone. Now I guess the question is, if I keep this phone, will I get rid of the iPod that I built in the previous video? Stay tuned to find out. Now that I have a headphone jack, I also got this one-sided earbud with a microphone on it, so it makes it much easier to talk on the phone. This phone is pretty small, so holding it up like this, I mean, it can work, and I can use a speakerphone like this, but it is a little weird, I guess, because the phone is so small. So plugging in this wired headphone jack really helps a lot. I've also figured out solutions to a couple of other issues with this phone. First, I wanted to use this phone in the car for navigation, but there's no magnet in the back. So what I did was I stuck this tiny little metal strip in the back between the case and the phone, and that seems to work really well. I just put it like that, and it stays nicely secured in the car, and I can put this up anywhere there's a magnet. Next, the plastic shell on this phone is pretty slick, so I put the default case on there. It's a little bit better, there's a little more grip, but I wanted even more grip because even the case can get a little slippery once it gets wet or once it gets oily. So I added these Talon grips on here, if you can see that. And these grips are great because they're kind of in between that really rough skateboard deck material, the grip tape, and like a really rubbery grip. So it's kind of in between. Talon calls it their Pro Grip, and you can buy these little strips for a few dollars. You just cut them up and you can attach it to any phone or any case. And that has worked really well. I have a lot of grip on it now, and it makes it really easy to take out of my pocket and put back in without being too abrasive on my fingers or on the clothing. And in case you're wondering, these IEMs or in-ear monitors, they're kind of like large earbuds, but they sound so much better. These are the 7 Hertz 02s, and they're relatively inexpensive, but they sound great compared to regular earbuds. The great thing about IEMs is that you can pull off the earphone part and put it on a custom cable. So I bought this custom cable for it with a microphone. The microphone has a button so I can answer phone calls. I can also skip and stop and play music when I'm listening to music on the phone. So that makes it super convenient and I don't have to pull the phone out of my pocket. All right, so that's about it for week 3. I'll update you with my progress at the end of next week. All right, welcome to week number 4. And this week I have been primarily testing the camera. You can see the camera there. It's pretty tiny. And I wasn't expecting much out of this camera because all of the YouTube videos I watched said that the camera is not very good. When I first heard that the camera on this phone is not very good, it was almost a deal breaker. But then I thought about it for a little bit and I thought to myself, am I trying to win photography contests or do I just want to capture a moment that I want to revisit later? And of course, it's the latter. That said, here are some photos from the Jelly Star. Yeah, they aren't fantastic, but they also aren't 2002 flip phone terrible either. Can I live with this compromise? I don't know, maybe. If I need high quality photos, I always have my Sony ZV-E10 or my Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra, but it would be nice to have just one device. As far as the video goes on this phone, it's terrible, pretty much unusable. So assuming that I like all of the other features on this phone, it seems like the biggest sacrifice I'm going to make if I switch to this phone is the camera. So I'll have to do more testing and give it some thought. But this week I did start playing with a cool feature on this phone, the IR Blaster. It allows me to control remote control devices like TVs. There are a few presets already programmed into the app so I can control my TV with this phone. I don't have a lot of remote control devices, but I could see where this could be super convenient for someone who does. Another good use of the IR Blaster would be in an environment where you have a loud TV or you just want to turn the TV off. You know, if you're like in a bar or like in a place that the TV is being really bothersome. So maybe you could just like low-key turn down the volume or just turn it off completely. I don't know if I'll actually use this a lot, but it is a fun thing to have. Now to update you on the phone calls and text messages, they do appear to be working correctly, so I'm really happy about that. Anyway, this is the final week of this experiment, so I'm going to do a little bit more testing with this phone and give you my final decision in the next update. After using the Unihertz Jelly Star for the past 4 weeks, this is definitely a niche device. This is not a phone for the masses. Most people want a huge screen and they want their phone to be the best at everything. There are definitely compromises with this phone. So I'll quickly review the compromises as well as the benefits, and then I'll give you my final decision. The first obvious compromise is the size. So if you don't have very good vision or you have big fingers, then this can be a very hard phone to use. Just a little bit bigger would have been perfect. The next major compromise is the camera. The camera on this is tiny. The pictures are okay, they're kind of usable, but the video is totally useless. Even when I take videos in perfect lighting, the quality is not very good. This is a disappointment, but not unexpected given the size and price of this phone. The third major compromise, at least for me, was how hard it was to de-Google this phone. Since it's not supported by any of the major de-Googled projects, it's more difficult to get it working, and I'm not sure how well it will do with future updates. The last compromise is the build quality, and while it is pretty good for this price point, it definitely has some jank to it. When I don't put the protector on the phone, the buttons rattle a little bit, and when I pull out the SD card, the door on the SD card slot rattles quite a bit, and it looks like it might fall off if you just look at it wrong. An iPhone, this is not. But there are some definite benefits to this phone also. The biggest one for me is the size. I love how small this thing is. It fits in my pocket right next to my wallet, and I don't have to shift it around all the time. Next, with this phone de-Googled, I get a solid 2 days of battery life out of it, sometimes a little bit more. It also charges much faster than phones I've had in the past. I would estimate that it charges about twice as fast. Like I mentioned before, I've been using this phone to listen to Spotify as well as MP3 files and FLAC files on the phone, and the sound quality is excellent. It's great to be able to plug in my headphones when I want better sound quality, but this also has Bluetooth so I can connect to devices when I need to. One nice surprise that I discovered on this phone is this little indicator light. When it's blinking, that means I have a message. So I don't have to turn on the screen to see if I have messages. I can just look at the light. This phone is just a little bit too small and a little bit too inconvenient to use all the time, so I only use it when necessary. This keeps me from mindlessly scrolling on the phone and allows me to focus on more important things. So, final decision. After a lot of thought and a lot of testing, I have decided to keep this phone as my daily driver. I'm happy that this experiment was successful and I really like my new phone. In fact, this is one of the best purchases I've made in the past 5 years. In the next video, I'm going to delete Spotify from this phone and only use an iPod to listen to music for 30 days. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel to see more future experiments. Thanks for watching and check out the video that's coming up next.